Did you know that 85% of crypto scams use fully verified accounts that pass all identity checks? I didn't either, until I nearly handed over my life savings to what seemed like a legitimate investment platform. The shock I felt when I realized what was happening still haunts me. Despite my background in researching financial fraud, I found myself second-guessing my instincts. This sophisticated operation had everything: verified badges, professional websites, and hundreds of positive reviews. The scammer targeting me used AI-generated content and advanced psychological tactics designed to bypass even educated skepticism. These weren't amateurs, they were professionals with a system. Here's what happened. The perfect target. Me. I never thought I'd be writing this video about almost losing $10,000 to a crypto scam. Especially since I literally make videos about money. Like, this is what I do for a living. I talk about financial literacy and smart investing, and yet there I was, inches away from transferring my hard-earned cash to complete strangers on the internet. Talk about embarrassing. Let me take you back to 3 months ago. I was doing what we all do when we're supposed to be productive, mindlessly scrolling through Instagram. Between posts from friends and cat videos, I spotted this ad for a crypto investment platform. The returns they were advertising caught my eye immediately. 12 to 18% monthly returns, precisely in that territory of potentially legitimate in the volatile crypto world. Despite knowing better, seriously, I've made videos warning about this exact thing. I found myself clicking through to check it out. I told myself it was just professional curiosity, research for future content. But if I'm being completely honest, a part of me was hoping it might actually be legitimate. That's how these scammers get you. They tap into that tiny voice that whispers, but what if it's real? The platform looked absolutely amazing. The website had this sleek, professional design with charts updating in real time. The testimonials featured people who looked like normal investors. Not obvious stock photos, but actual people with realistic stories. They had verified badges, security certificates, and partnerships with companies I recognized. This platform matched exactly what I'd envisioned as legitimate. What made me vulnerable wasn't ignorance, but this peculiar mix of curiosity and financial pressure. I had savings goals I was falling behind on. Nothing dire, but enough to create background anxiety. I wanted to catch up, and this seemed like a solution. My palms actually got sweaty as I scrolled through their promised returns, calculating how quickly I could reach my targets. Financial stress has this way of transforming warning signs into beacons of hope. I considered myself financially savvy, which ironically made me more vulnerable. My expertise became my blind spot, a window left wide open for these predators to climb through. I had this false confidence that I could easily spot scams, that I was too smart to get fooled. But that overconfidence is exactly what these scammers count on. When you think you're scam-proof, you lower your guard. The timing was perfect too. Crypto prices were on an upswing after months of decline. Everyone was posting gains while I watched from the sidelines, feeling that intense FOMO hitting me hard. My heart would race each time I saw another to the moon post, knowing I wasn't part of it. That fear of missing out can make rational people do irrational things. After doing some digging later, I realized I had been specifically selected through sophisticated ad targeting. Their system had identified me as someone interested in investing, but potentially financially stretched, the perfect combination of knowledge and vulnerability. The ads were designed for someone just like me, someone who knows enough about crypto to be interested, but might be tempted by promises of above-average returns. They used keywords and images that would appeal specifically to my demographic. It felt like having someone look directly into my financial anxieties. I wasn't randomly chosen. Their AI systems had flagged me based on my browsing habits and social media activity. They knew which crypto content I engaged with, which financial topics I researched, and probably even my recent browsing of big-ticket items slightly beyond my normal budget. These scammers had created a detailed profile before I ever clicked their ad. They knew what would make me click, what messaging would resonate, and what financial promises would tempt me. My stomach dropped when I realized how precisely I'd been profiled, like having someone read your financial diary. This level of targeting makes modern scams exceptionally dangerous. They're precisely targeting the exact type of person most likely to fall for their specific scam. Fishing with a spear, not a net. What's more disturbing is that these scammers invest significant money to reach the right victims. They calculate the potential return on each mark and advertise accordingly. Their targeting improves with every interaction, every click. The scams literally get better at finding victims every day. I was the perfect target, someone who knew enough to be interested, but not enough to immediately spot their sophisticated deception. My financial knowledge wasn't my shield, it was my vulnerability. The irresistible offer. Let's talk about the offer that nearly separated me from my money. Because it wasn't as obvious as those send 1 BTC, get 2 BTC back, scams we all laugh at. You know the ones I mean, right? Those emails from supposed Nigerian princes or crypto exchanges promising to double your money instantly. Those are easy to spot. But this one was clever. The platform called itself CryptoNexus AI and promised monthly returns between 12 to 18% through what they called an AI-powered trading algorithm. According to their website, their system could spot market inefficiencies that human traders missed. Their AI analyzed thousands of data points across multiple exchanges to find tiny price differences they could exploit. These returns were carefully calibrated to be enticing yet believable. Unlike obvious scams promising 1,000% gains, 12 to 18% monthly is high enough to excite potential victims while remaining just plausible in the volatile crypto market. I found myself rationalizing it. Some legitimate traders do hit those numbers in good months. I was essentially talking myself into it, despite knowing better. The platform's interface was the wolf in sheep's clothing. When I logged in after creating a basic account, I saw sophisticated real-time trading dashboards showing active trades. Complex charts with technical indicators that would impress any trading enthusiast. Transaction logs displayed consistent profits across various cryptocurrencies. Everything appeared professional and legitimate. I later discovered the entire dashboard was fabricated. No actual trades were happening. It was an elaborate simulation designed to look authentic, like a movie set that appears real until you walk behind the facade and find nothing but props. Their About Us page featured an impressive team of supposed former Goldman Sachs traders, MIT computer scientists, and blockchain pioneers. Each profile included detailed credentials, professional photos, and LinkedIn profiles with comprehensive work histories. These profiles seemed legitimate at first glance, with connections to other industry professionals. The reality? These people were completely fictional. The photos were AI-generated faces, and the LinkedIn profiles were recently created fakes. This wasn't just a simple deception, but a carefully constructed alternate reality designed to build trust. The psychological hook that almost caught me was their risk-free trial offer. They encouraged testing the platform with a small deposit, $500, that was fully insured against losses. They claimed to have an insurance fund backed by a major financial institution. Deposit $500, try it for 30 days, and we'll return your full deposit plus profits if you're not satisfied, they promised. This trial offer was brilliantly designed to lower my guard. It presented what appeared to be a low-risk way to verify the platform's legitimacy. The worst outcome seemed to be some minor inconvenience to recover my initial investment. The best case, discovering a legitimate investment platform to accelerate my financial goals. Adding to the illusion of legitimacy were verification badges claiming registration with the U.S. Department of the Treasury and SEC. They displayed certificates for cybersecurity compliance and partnerships with known blockchain firms. These official-looking credentials added another layer of perceived legitimacy. The entire offer was engineered to hit the perfect balance between skepticism and greed. It wasn't outrageous enough to trigger immediate dismissal, but attractive enough to generate interest. They created artificial scarcity with warnings like, only a limited number of users are accepted each month, and our AI performs best with a controlled user base. The psychological strategy was sophisticated. Rather than trying to overwhelm skepticism, they acknowledged it and then methodically dismantled it with reasonable explanations, professional design, and trust-building elements. They transformed the unreasonable into reasonable through a carefully crafted illusion. This is precisely why these sophisticated scams are so dangerous. They don't trigger our typical scam detectors because they're designed to fly under our suspicion radar. They make victims feel smart for discovering them, rather than foolish for falling for them. The experience is constructed to create the illusion of making a rational, informed investment decision while actually being manipulated into a trap. The psychological trap. The scariest part wasn't the fake platform. It was how they got inside my head and manipulated my emotions without me even realizing it. Looking back now, I can see exactly how they played me, but in the moment, I was completely blind to it. 2 days after signing up, I got a phone call from a number with a New York area code. The guy introduced himself as Michael, my dedicated investment advisor at CryptoNexus AI. He spoke with authority while maintaining friendliness, using technical terms strategically to sound knowledgeable without overwhelming me. Within minutes, he had me feeling like I'd known him for years. "I noticed you created an account, but haven't made your initial deposit yet," he said, sounding genuinely curious rather than pushy. "I'd love to understand your financial goals and see if our platform aligns with what you're looking for." Michael asked thoughtful questions about my finances during our conversation. He remembered details I mentioned and referenced them naturally throughout. By the end, I felt this stranger actually cared about my financial future. His mastery of push-pull tactics was remarkable. He'd casually mention their investment pool was almost full. "We only accept a limited number of investors each quarter to maintain algorithm performance." When he said this, I felt my heart rate increase. I remember frantically checking my bank account balance, wondering if I could transfer funds faster. Then, sensing my eagerness, he immediately backed off. "There's no rush. This is your financial future we're talking about. Take all the time you need." This calculated retreat actually made me trust him more. Michael validated my concerns while simultaneously neutralizing them. When I expressed skepticism about their promised returns, he complimented me. "That's smart thinking. You should be skeptical of high returns. Most platforms promising these numbers are absolutely scams." Then he'd add, "That's exactly why our system is different. We're showing you historical performance data while being transparent about the technology." He made me feel intelligent for questioning things, then provided just enough explanation to dismiss my doubts. It was mental judo, using my skepticism against me. After my second call, Michael invited me to join their investor community on Telegram. This group had about 200 members who seemed to be regular people investing through the platform. They posted screenshots of earnings, asked technical questions, and shared experiences. What I didn't realize was that probably 90% of these investors were either bots or paid actors. This social proof powerfully validated the platform's legitimacy. Their approach to money was calculated. Michael suggested starting with just $500 to get comfortable with the platform. Small enough not to trigger alarm bells, but enough to commit me. Once I made that initial deposit, I could see it working on their fake dashboard, supposedly earning consistent returns. A week later, Michael called with excitement. "The algorithm is responding well to your investment style. Based on your risk profile, you'd see much better performance if you increased to at least $10,000. That's where our AI really shows its capabilities. This classic foot-in-the-door technique works by starting small, then escalating. After committing $500, considering more became psychologically easier. What disturbed me later was realizing they tracked my every move. Michael would call minutes after I logged in. If I visited the withdrawal FAQ, I'd get an email addressing withdrawal processes. When I checked security measures, he'd text additional security information. They monitored my site activity and tailored their approach accordingly. These scammers combined authority, social proof, artificial scarcity, and incremental commitment to bypass rational thinking and target emotions. They made me feel special and like I was making informed decisions. These weren't amateur tactics. This was sophisticated psychological manipulation based on principles that legitimate marketers use, twisted for fraud. They knew exactly which emotional buttons to push, and when. The experience was like being slowly boiled alive. The temperature increased so gradually, I didn't notice until nearly too late. Every interaction built trust and pushed me toward that final big investment. What makes this manipulation effective is that it doesn't feel like manipulation. It feels like making your own decisions with helpful guidance. You don't feel scammed, you feel financially savvy. When someone subtly guides while making you feel in control, your defenses stay down, leaving you vulnerable in ways you don't even realize. Emotional roller coaster. Looking back, I'm embarrassed by how my emotions completely hijacked my usual rational thinking. It was like watching myself make bad decisions, but feeling powerless to stop. I'm usually the person friends come to for level-headed financial advice, but during those 3 weeks, it's like my brain went on vacation and my feelings took the wheel. When I first discovered CryptoNexus AI, I felt an immediate rush of excitement about possibility. I calculated how quickly I could pay off my car loan if these returns were real. I pictured finally having enough for a down payment on a house, even mentally redecorating my apartment with furniture I couldn't afford. My brain was already spending money I hadn't even made yet. This excitement mixed with anxiety whenever I logged into the platform and saw those live results of other investors making gains. Notifications like user JT428 just earned $843 from their BTC position, or investor Marias withdrew $2,400 in profits today, created a gnawing feeling that I was missing out with every hour I delayed my decision. It was like watching a train pulling away from the station while I stood frozen on the platform, unable to decide if I should jump aboard. The turning point came during a late-night call with Michael, my so-called investment advisor. I had just received my tax refund, $200 that I'd planned to put toward my emergency fund. Michael suggested this was the perfect amount to fully activate my account's premium features. At 1:30 a.m., exhausted but wired on hope, I transferred the entire amount. The moment I hit send felt like plunging down the first drop of a roller coaster, a sickening mix of terror and exhilaration that left me unable to sleep for the rest of the night. Michael remembered I mentioned wanting to travel to Japan. He asked about my dog by name. He recalled that I was saving for grad school. These personal touches made me feel valued in a way that's rare with financial services. This person wasn't my friend. He was systematically manipulating me. But in the moment, it felt like having a knowledgeable friend looking out for my best interests. I experienced guilt whenever I expressed doubts. It was as if I was being ungrateful for this opportunity they were offering me. When I asked Michael about their regulatory compliance, he sounded disappointed. I understand you need to do your due diligence, he said with a slight sigh, but I've shared all our verification documents already. I actually apologized to a scammer for questioning their scam. That's how twisted my thinking had become. Hope was the most powerful emotion throughout this experience. I'd been doing everything right financially for years, and progress felt so slow. This seemed like a chance to finally get ahead. As Dr. Pang, a psychology expert, points out, scammers create a sense of trust and intimacy that makes victims more likely to believe what they're being told. Even as red flags appeared, I experienced a mental tug-of-war. Part of me knew something was off when they couldn't give straight answers about their trading strategy. I noticed inconsistencies in how their platform displayed profits, but another part desperately wanted to believe. I found myself making excuses for things that didn't add up. Maybe they're just disorganized, I'd think. Lots of legitimate startups have operational issues. Dr. Simons noted that we tend to be much more willing to question our findings if it looks like they came out the opposite of what we were expecting. This explained why I ignored red flags. I was hoping this investment would be legitimate, so I accepted evidence that confirmed my hopes while dismissing contradictions. My emotions created a powerful cocktail of excitement, FOMO, connection, guilt, and hope that overrode my critical thinking skills. I wasn't evaluating an investment. I was chasing a feeling with my bank account. That's what makes these scams effective. They take advantage of your human desire for security, connection, and hope. They know which emotional buttons to push to keep you from asking the right questions. I realize now I wasn't making decisions. I was having an emotional experience orchestrated by professional manipulators. My financial knowledge was still there, but it couldn't compete with the emotional override happening in my heart. It's humbling to realize how easily our emotions can hijack our intelligence, especially when someone knows exactly how to trigger them. Red flags I ignored. The warning signs were there all along, not as flashing neon signs, but as subtle hints that my brain kept trying to rationalize away. Looking back, I can't believe how many red flags I just stepped right over. It's like they were waving in my face, and I was like, wonder what those red things might be? Here are the major red flags I overlooked, each designed to seem reasonable on its own. First, they created artificial urgency at every turn. Michael constantly emphasized limited availability. We're only accepting 50 new investors this month. This special promotional rate ends Friday. The algorithm works best when we onboard users in small batches, and this batch is almost full. When I wanted time to consider increasing my investment, he said, "That's completely fine, but just so you know, we're seeing unprecedented demand right now." This pressure tactic prevents victims from researching properly or consulting friends who might identify the scam. Second, their technical explanations impressed at first glance, but crumbled under scrutiny. They described their system using terms like quantum-enhanced blockchain analysis and cross-exchange arbitrage with microsecond execution. I blamed my confusion on my lack of technical knowledge. Later, my friend who works in algorithmic trading confirmed it was pure nonsense, comparing it to claiming a car runs on quantum gasoline with hypersonic injection timing. Their jargon served only to sound sophisticated while explaining nothing. Third, they provided fake regulatory documentation. When I requested compliance proof, they sent official-looking documents complete with seals, signatures, certificate numbers, barcodes, and watermarks. They appeared legitimate until I verified the registration numbers with actual regulatory bodies. None existed. The documents were completely fabricated. Fourth, their online presence lacked basic legitimacy markers. The website showed no physical address, just a contact form and email. Michael's phone number couldn't be called back. I'd receive a number not in service message. I rationalized this as normal for digital companies, but legitimate financial firms always provide verifiable contact information and physical addresses. It's legally required. Fifth, the testimonials followed suspiciously identical patterns. Financial struggles, discovering CryptoNexus AI, initial skepticism, small investment, amazing returns, larger investment, and newfound prosperity. The writing style was consistent across all testimonials, and the profile pictures were stock photos I later found on multiple websites through reverse image searches. These weren't real investors, but fabricated success stories. Most telling was what happened when I tried withdrawing my initial $500 test deposit. I encountered an escalating series of obstacles. First, system maintenance delays, then requirements for additional verification, followed by a previously unmentioned minimum holding period of 21 days. Each withdrawal attempt met a new roadblock, classic scammer behavior designed to keep your money in their system. These warning signs formed a pattern that should have triggered serious alarm bells. The frightening aspect is how none of these red flags immediately screamed scam. They were subtle, dismissible, and designed to appear reasonable. That's what makes sophisticated scams so dangerous. They don't trigger obvious alarm systems, but create just enough doubt for us to ignore our instincts. I believed real scams would be more obvious, like poorly written emails requesting Bitcoin. This outdated thinking made me vulnerable. Today's scammers are sophisticated, patient, and skilled at building trust. As Dr. Pang, an online scam expert, explains, scammers create a sense of trust and intimacy that makes victims more likely to believe their claims and ignore warning signs. If you encounter a situation with multiple red flags like these, pressure tactics, impressive but meaningless explanations, unverifiable documentation, missing contact details, suspiciously perfect testimonials, or withdrawal obstacles, walk away immediately. A legitimate opportunity won't need to use these tactics. When several warning signs appear together, your best protection is to trust your AI-powered deception to protect your money. The most chilling, regardless of how tempting the opportunity seems. This wasn't just a regular scam. It was supercharged by artificial intelligence tools that made everything more convincing and personalized. I'm talking about technology that didn't even exist a few years ago, now being used to steal money from regular people like you and me. When I first saw the team photos on the CryptoNexus AI website, I thought they looked like normal professionals. Michael, the CEO, had this trustworthy smile with slightly graying temples. Sarah, their head of security, looked competent with her glasses and professional blazer. The entire team seemed diverse, qualified, and completely real. Except none of these people actually exist. Every single face on that website was generated by AI, completely fabricated humans created specifically for this scam. The FBI has warned about scammers using AI to create fake personas targeting cryptocurrency investors. These weren't crude fakes. The AI-generated faces had realistic skin textures, proper lighting, and even small imperfections like slight asymmetry that made them look authentically human. One dark web service advertises face-changing services for $200 worth of crypto, creating completely realistic identities for scammers. Like a skilled magician who directs your attention while performing sleight of hand, these AI tools created an illusion so complete that even scrutiny couldn't reveal the deception. The trading dashboard showed real-time market data for cryptocurrencies that perfectly matched actual market movements. When Bitcoin dropped 3% in the real world, their dashboard reflected that drop. But the algorithmic trades they claimed to be making were completely fake, artificially generated to show consistent profits regardless of market conditions. Elad Fuchs, Chainalysis head of fraud products, explains this growing threat. AI is amplifying scams by enabling high-fidelity, low-cost, and highly scalable fraud that exploits human vulnerabilities. This is exactly what happened to me. The scammers used AI to create an entire fake world that was incredibly convincing because it contained elements of truth mixed with fiction. When I asked for proof of their regulatory compliance, they sent certificates with official-looking seals, signatures, and registration numbers. These were sophisticated forgeries created by AI tools that generated professional-looking documents indistinguishable from legitimate ones. Even more disturbing, they sent me links to news articles that mentioned CryptoNexus AI as a promising fintech startup. These articles appeared on websites that looked like financial news outlets. I later discovered these entire websites were fake, generated by AI to create a false sense of legitimacy. The articles themselves mimicked the style of legitimate financial journalism while promoting the scam platform. The personalization was equally unnerving. Michael mentioned my interest in Japan during our second call, information I had only shared on Instagram months earlier. He asked about my dog by name, referenced my alma mater, and even mentioned the type of car I drive. They were using AI to analyze my social media profiles, gathering information to build rapport and gain my trust. When Michael called me, he responded to my questions naturally and without hesitation. He addressed specific concerns I had mentioned in previous conversations with perfect recall. At one point, I asked a technical question about their trading strategy, and he gave me a detailed answer that seemed knowledgeable. Later I realized he was likely using AI voice assistants that anticipated common questions and concerns. What makes this AI-powered deception so dangerous is that these tools are becoming cheaper, more accessible to scammers, and harder for average people to detect. According to research, AI service vendors saw their revenue grow by 1,900% in 2024, indicating a massive explosion in the use of AI technology to facilitate scams. Fuchs further explained that AI facilitates the creation of synthetic and fake identities, allowing fraudsters to impersonate real users and bypass identity verification controls. This means scammers can now create entire fictional worlds and characters that pass verification checks we rely on to stay safe online. The most disturbing part is that this technology is only getting better, cheaper, and more accessible. As AI continues to advance, the line between reality and fiction becomes increasingly blurred, making it harder for even cautious people to protect themselves from these sophisticated deceptions. The turning point. Just days before I was about to transfer the full $10,000, something happened that made me pause and ultimately saved me from disaster. I'd already made that initial $500 test deposit and was checking my CryptoNexus AI dashboard multiple times a day. According to my account, I was seeing a 22% gain in just 2 weeks. The chart on my screen showed a beautiful upward trend with barely any dips. My $500 had supposedly grown to $610 without me doing anything. I started imagining what would happen when I put in the full $10,000. At that same growth rate, I'd make over $2,000 in just a month. Michael, my investment advisor, was calling me almost daily. The window of opportunity is closing, he kept saying. He explained that their AI trading system had identified a major market inefficiency that wouldn't last long. We're only allowing our most promising clients to participate in this special investment opportunity, and you've been selected based on your account performance. The catch: I needed to invest at least $10,000 to participate. The algorithm requires a minimum threshold to execute these particular trading strategies effectively. He explained in a way that sounded technical enough to be believable. I was getting ready to make the transfer. I had even called my bank to let them know I'd be making a large withdrawal, so they wouldn't flag it as suspicious. That's how close I came to losing everything. But then something simple happened that changed everything. I was having coffee with my friend Jake, who works in IT. I casually mentioned this amazing crypto platform I'd found. I'm thinking about putting some serious money into it, I told him, expecting him to be impressed. Instead, his face changed. He didn't look excited, he looked worried. "What's the name of this platform again?" he asked. When I told him, he said he'd never heard of it. Then he asked some really basic questions. How exactly does their algorithm work? Who runs the company? Are they registered with any financial regulators? I opened my mouth to answer and realized something terrifying. I couldn't answer any of these questions with actual facts. I had vague explanations Michael had given me, but when I tried to explain them, they sounded ridiculous. They use AI to find market inefficiencies, I said weakly, but I realized how little that actually explained. Jake's skepticism triggered me to do something I should have done from the beginning. That night, I started Googling specific phrases from the CryptoNexus AI website and looking for independent reviews. Before investing in any cryptocurrency, experts emphasize conducting thorough research, examining technical documentation, verifying team members' backgrounds, and checking for active development. What I found was alarming. There were no mentions of CryptoNexus AI on any reputable financial websites. No real reviews from users. Their supposed MIT-educated founder, Dr. Andrew Miller, had zero presence on academic databases. No published papers, no LinkedIn profile, nothing. He didn't exist. The confirmation came when I discovered a Reddit thread describing an identical scam. Same promises, same platform features, and an advisor named Mike, who used the exact phrases Michael had used with me. That person lost $15,000. Experts recommend checking multiple independent sources, rather than relying solely on information from the project itself. This includes verifying regulatory claims by directly checking financial authority websites like the SEC and FINRA. I decided to test things one more time. I requested to withdraw my initial $500 deposit. Immediately, I received an email saying withdrawals were temporarily paused due to system upgrades. When I called Michael about this, his tone completely changed. He became defensive, irritated. He sent a form requesting more personal information: my driver's license, utility bill, and tax ID number. 3 days later, another excuse appeared. My account hadn't met the minimum holding period of 30 days. Classic signs of a scam. The moment you try to withdraw funds, suddenly there are endless new requirements and delays. The turning point wasn't any one thing. It was the combination of Jake's skepticism, the absence of legitimate verification, and the impossible withdrawal process. These red flags painted a clear picture. As experts advise, when you suspect you've been scammed, take immediate action. Stop all communication with the suspected scammers and refrain from sending any more money. That's exactly what I did. I cut off all contact with Michael, blocked their number, reported the website, and considered my $500 a relatively cheap lesson in the sophisticated world of modern scams. Had Jake not looked concerned that day over coffee, I would have lost 20 times that amount. The near Mississippi. I came frighteningly close to making a financial mistake that would have taken years to recover from. When I say close, I mean I had already scheduled the $10,000 bank transfer for the following Monday. The money was sitting in my checking account, ready to go. I had even called my bank to pre-authorize the large transfer, so it wouldn't get flagged as suspicious. That's how convinced I was that CryptoNexus AI was legitimate. What makes me cringe now is how I handed over critical personal information to these people. My full name, address, email, phone number, and a scan of my driver's license for their verification process. I had essentially gift-wrapped my identity along with my money. After that coffee with my friend and my late-night research session, I realized with growing horror that I'd nearly fallen for a sophisticated scam. My heart pounded in my chest as I called my bank at 7 a.m. the next morning, my voice trembling as I explained the situation to the fraud department. They immediately blocked any transfers to cryptocurrency platforms for the next 30 days and flagged my previous $500 transfer as potentially fraudulent, though they warned recovery was unlikely. Unfortunately, cryptocurrency transfers are nearly impossible to reverse once completed, the bank representative explained. Unlike credit card transactions, crypto transactions don't have a chargeback mechanism. Those words hit me hard. My $500 test deposit was gone forever, a $500 lesson in modern scam techniques. I immediately launched into damage control. I changed every password I had, starting with email and banking accounts. I set up two-factor authentication on everything. I contacted the major credit bureaus to place fraud alerts on my reports and froze my credit entirely to prevent anyone from opening new accounts in my name. I documented everything, screenshots of the platform, saved email exchanges with Michael, and details of our phone conversations while still fresh in my memory. I reported the scam to the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, the FTC, and the CFTC, creating a paper trail for my protection and to help authorities potentially track these scammers. I decided to confront Michael one last time, curious how he'd react when I told him I knew what was happening. The transformation was instant and chilling. The friendly, supportive advisor suddenly turned hostile. "You're making a huge mistake," he said coldly. "Our other investors are making incredible returns right now." When I mentioned the Reddit thread exposing their scam, he switched tactics. "That's a different company with a similar name. Competitors are trying to damage our reputation because our technology is revolutionary." Then came the threats. "If you're planning to post negative reviews, our legal team will consider that defamation." It was manipulation at its finest, making me fear missing out, creating doubt about my research, and finally threatening me. But I could now see through all of it. What really shook me was discovering I wasn't alone. After posting about my experience on Reddit, I received dozens of private messages from others who had fallen for the exact same scam. Some lost small amounts like me, but others lost entire retirement savings, over $200,000 in some cases. One older couple had to postpone their retirement after losing $237,000 to the same group. I was literally days away from transferring $10,000 and had already lost $500. If my friend hadn't looked concerned, if I hadn't done those Google searches, or if I had dismissed those warning signs, I would have made that transfer. And once cryptocurrency leaves your wallet, it's virtually impossible to recover. The most terrifying aspect wasn't even the money I almost lost, but the personal information I had shared. Scammers often collect personal information, creating ongoing identity theft risks that require years of monitoring. Every notification about a new account or credit inquiry now makes my heart skip a beat. Months later, I still maintain active fraud alerts, check my accounts daily, and have become cautious about sharing personal information online. This experience has fundamentally changed how I approach my finances and online presence. No one is immune to these scams. They target people with financial knowledge and savings, using sophisticated technology and psychological manipulation that can fool even cautious individuals. These scammers are professionals who know exactly which emotional buttons to push. If you find yourself in a similar situation, remember that legitimate investments don't need pressure tactics or artificial urgency. Always verify information through independent sources before sending money to anyone. Why smart people fall for scams? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Being financially knowledgeable doesn't make you immune to scams, and sometimes it actually makes you more vulnerable. That was the hardest lesson for me to accept. I make videos about money. I research financial topics for a living. And yet, I almost handed over $10,000 to complete strangers on the internet because they showed me some fancy graphs and promised me above-average returns. Financial knowledge created this dangerous overconfidence in me. Like wearing armor with hidden weak spots, I thought my expertise protected me completely while leaving crucial vulnerabilities exposed. I genuinely believed I knew enough to spot scams. I understand how. Markets work. I know what's possible, I told myself. This confidence became my biggest weakness. When you believe you're scam-proof, you let your guard down, make exceptions, and convince yourself you'll recognize warning signs. The scammers specifically target people with financial knowledge because we have savings and understand terminology that makes their fake explanations plausible. When Michael discussed algorithmic trading and cross-exchange arbitrage, I understood these concepts, making his explanation seem credible despite being nonsense. I could follow his logic, though the claims were fabricated. Modern scams don't trigger obvious alarm bells. They exist at the edge of plausibility, in that gray area where part of your brain says this might be legitimate, while another whispers be careful. CryptoNexus AI promised returns high enough to excite me, but not so high they screamed obvious scam. They created just enough plausibility that greed overrode caution. I was dealing with stress that created additional vulnerability. Though not desperate, I felt behind on financial goals and wanted to accelerate savings for a down payment. This mild financial pressure made me receptive to solutions promising to help me catch up. Psychological research confirms this vulnerability. Financial strain makes people more receptive to opportunities promising quick relief, even dubious ones. The desire to improve financial situations can override critical thinking skills, making individuals susceptible to schemes that seem too good to be true. We're all vulnerable to cognitive biases that scammers exploit. Once I started hoping CryptoNexus AI was real, I focused on supporting evidence while dismissing warnings, classic confirmation bias. I believed testimonials from successful investors, yet made excuses for inconsistencies in their algorithm explanations. Behavioral economists explain that confirmation bias causes people to focus on evidence supporting existing beliefs, even when based on falsehoods. Scammers exploit this by presenting information aligning with victims' desires, making it difficult to question legitimacy. The scammers created a false sense of control through small decisions, scheduling calls, choosing my test deposit amount, selecting which verification documents to provide first. These choices made me feel in charge while I was being guided down a predetermined path. According to fraud psychology experts, this incremental commitment technique increases the likelihood victims will continue investing money or providing personal information, even as red flags emerge. Modern scams are psychologically sophisticated, targeting our biases and vulnerabilities while creating enough plausibility to overcome skepticism. They prey on our humanity, our hopes, fears, desires, and cognitive blind spots. The most humbling realization was accepting that no one is truly immune. These scams target human psychology, not just knowledge gaps. They exploit how our brains work and how we make decisions under uncertainty. Research on decision-making shows that overconfidence bias significantly affects risk assessment. This cognitive bias leads people to believe they're less likely to experience negative events than peers, creating an illusion of invulnerability. My near miss with this scam, despite my knowledge, reflects how sophisticated these schemes have become and how effectively they target psychological vulnerabilities we all share. Scammers don't need to fool your knowledge. They bypass it by appealing directly to emotions. This is why sharing these stories matters. We must move beyond stereotypes that only uninformed people fall for scams. Anyone can be vulnerable under the right circumstances. Understanding this makes us more likely to check assumptions, verify information independently, and protect ourselves from increasingly sophisticated threats. The research that saved me. The simple research steps that saved me from losing $10,000 are actions anyone can take, but most people don't until it's too late. Looking back, I'm shocked at how basic these checks were and how quickly they revealed the truth. We're talking about simple Google searches that took less than an hour, not some complex investigation requiring special skills. The first crucial step I took was Googling CryptoNexus AI scam and CryptoNexus AI review. I hadn't thought to do this until after weeks of calls with Michael. Immediately, several concerning Reddit threads appeared from people describing experiences identical to mine. Same platform features, same advisor tactics, same withdrawal problems. One person had lost over $30,000 to what was clearly the same operation operating under a slightly different name months earlier. After seeing these initial red flags, I started digging deeper. CryptoNexus AI had repeatedly told me they were fully registered with the SEC and sent me a certificate with what looked like an official registration number. I went directly to the SEC's website and searched their database of registered entities. No record of CryptoNexus AI existed. The same check with FINRA yielded nothing. The registration numbers on their certificates were completely fabricated. Their impressive team photos started bothering me too. Their website featured about 15 team members with professional headshots and detailed bios. I saved a few images and uploaded them to Google's reverse image search. 2 turned out to be stock photos used on multiple websites. For the others, I found nothing, suspicious for supposed finance professionals who would normally have some online presence. Using a tool that detects AI-generated images confirmed my suspicions. Most of their team photos were created by AI. A simple WHOIS lookup revealed their domain had only been registered 4 months earlier, despite claims of being established in 2019 and managing over $200 million. This discovery hit me hard emotionally. I'd been on the verge of trusting them with my money based on a completely fabricated history. When I searched legitimate business registries, the results were equally damning. Their website claimed a New York headquarters, but the New York State Division of Corporations database showed no record of them. Checks in Delaware and other states yielded nothing. They simply didn't exist as a legal entity. Finally, I posted screenshots of their technical explanations about their algorithm on cryptocurrency subreddits. Experts quickly responded that the descriptions were word salad, complete nonsense, and technobabble designed to sound impressive to non-technical people. One developer explained their algorithm description violated basic principles of cryptocurrency market function. All these verification steps took less than an hour total. In that short time, I had conclusive evidence from multiple independent sources that CryptoNexus AI was a complete fabrication. Research shows this verification across multiple sources is vital. As one cryptocurrency security expert explains, before investing in any opportunity, conducting thorough research across independent sources is your best protection against sophisticated scams. Why did I overlook such basic research initially? Looking back, I realize how the psychological trap they created clouded my judgment. They built trust first, making me less likely to question their legitimacy. The excitement of potential gains and fear of missing out overwhelmed my normal skepticism. I felt embarrassed it took me so long to perform these basic checks. Most scams collapse under minimal scrutiny from independent sources. That's why they push for quick decisions and create artificial urgency. They don't want you to have time to Google their company or check regulatory databases. The most effective research isn't complicated. It's checking multiple independent sources rather than relying solely on information provided by the investment opportunity. Anyone can perform these same checks. 1. Google the company name plus scam or review. 2. Verify regulatory claims directly with financial authorities. 3. Check team photos with reverse image search. 4. Look up domain registration details. 5. Search business registry databases. 6. Ask for expert opinions on technical claims. As a cybersecurity researcher notes, this kind of due diligence is essential to protect yourself from scams. Failing to do so can lead to significant financial losses. The scam I almost fell for has a disturbing name, pig butchering, and it's currently the fastest growing and most devastating type of crypto fraud out there. Trust me, the name is as unsettling as the scam itself, and for good reason. Unlike obvious scams that demand money immediately, pig butchering operates like slow cooking a meal, gradually tenderizing victims over weeks or months before the final harvest. The scammers fatten up their targets by building trust before taking everything. This methodical approach makes these scams particularly effective and devastating. Michael spent almost 3 weeks getting to know me before suggesting I increase my investment. He remembered details about my life, asked about my weekend plans, and built what felt like a genuine connection. This carefully orchestrated relationship specifically lowered my defenses, like marinating meat until it's perfectly tender and vulnerable. Behind these operations are large criminal organizations with sophisticated networks, often based in Southeast Asia. The FBI has uncovered that some scam compounds use human trafficking victims forced to work as scammers. These victims become unwilling instruments in a cruel machine designed to extract wealth from unsuspecting targets. The FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center reports investment scams as the top crypto-related crime category, with $5.8 billion in losses. Individuals 60 and older reported $2.8 billion in losses from crypto-related scams, making older adults the most financially impacted demographic. What distinguishes pig butchering is the relationship building. Scammers reach out through text messages, social media, or dating apps and develop what feels like authentic friendship before mentioning investments. In my case, Michael built rapport through our shared interest in finance and technology, asking about my investment goals and appearing genuinely interested in helping me achieve them. Only during our fourth conversation did he mention their special investment opportunity. By then, I already trusted him. These scammers build confidence strategically. They typically allow small withdrawals early on to demonstrate legitimacy. When I wanted to test their withdrawal process with $50 from my initial deposit, Michael happily helped. The money appeared in my account 2 days later, creating a false sense of security that made me comfortable depositing much more. The trap springs when larger amounts get deposited. Suddenly, technical issues with withdrawals appear, along with verification requirements or minimum holding periods. By the time victims realize what's happening, their money has vanished. The emotional trauma often exceeds the financial loss. Victims experience deep betrayal, shame, and broken trust after realizing someone they considered a friend manipulated them entirely. One victim from a support forum described it as worse than being robbed, because when you're robbed, you don't blame yourself for trusting the robber. This psychological damage can affect relationships and mental health for years. Researchers estimate $10 to $12 billion was stolen through pig butchering scams in 2024 alone, up from $2.6 billion just 2 years earlier, nearly a 400% increase. As cryptocurrency becomes mainstream, these numbers will likely continue climbing. University of Texas researchers explain that cryptocurrency facilitates these frauds because it allows scammers to move substantial funds easily, cheaply, and without much fear of detection. Artificial intelligence is making these scams even more sophisticated. Scammers now use AI to create highly personalized approaches and bypass security measures, including Know Your Customer (KYC) requirements that would otherwise prevent anonymous operation. What makes pig butchering particularly dangerous is how it blurs the line between scam and relationship. When someone you've been talking to for weeks suggests an investment opportunity, your defenses are down. You don't evaluate the investment critically because you trust the person recommending it. These emotional attachments override logical thinking. You ignore red flags not because you don't see them, but because you trust the person waving them. If someone contacts you unexpectedly and eventually steers the conversation toward investments, especially cryptocurrency with guaranteed returns, be extremely cautious. Legitimate financial advisors don't find clients through WhatsApp or Instagram DMs. Your Protection Playbook. Let me share the exact Protection Playbook I wish I'd followed from the beginning. Steps that can protect you from even the most sophisticated crypto scams. Had I done these things 3 months ago, I would still have my $500, and I wouldn't have spent weeks stressing about nearly losing $10,000. The single most important rule that could have saved me: never invest based on unsolicited offers. Michael reached out to me, not the other way around. That should have been my first warning sign. Legitimate investments don't chase you through Instagram ads or random messages. If they're good, investors find them. Always verify through multiple independent sources. Instead of trusting Michael or the CryptoNexus AI website, I should have checked their regulatory registrations directly with financial authorities. Go straight to the SEC or FINRA websites and search for the company yourself. When I finally did this, CryptoNexus AI didn't exist in any regulatory database. For crypto specifically, use verification tools like Etherscan to examine wallet addresses before sending money. Simply copy the deposit address and paste it into Etherscan to view its transaction history. Legitimate companies show consistent patterns of deposits and withdrawals over time. The wallet I was given would have shown suspicious activity or might have been brand new, immediate red flags. Set a personal cooling-off period of at least 48 hours before any investment decision. This breaks through urgency tactics. Michael kept saying their opportunity was filling up fast to prevent clear thinking. Real opportunities don't vanish in 48 hours, and this pause would have given me time to spot the warning signs. Only use established cryptocurrency exchanges with proven track records. Platforms that have operated for years with proper regulatory compliance and transparent ownership. Their slightly higher fees serve as insurance against scams. If you can't easily identify who owns and runs the exchange, walk away. Exercise extreme caution with investment opportunities from social media, dating apps, or unsolicited messages. CryptoNexus AI targeted me through Instagram ads aimed at people interested in investing in cryptocurrency. Dating apps are particularly dangerous. Romance scams frequently evolve into investment scams once trust develops. Utilize crypto wallets with built-in security features. Trust Wallet's security scanner analyzes transactions before completion and assigns risk levels, low, medium, or high, alerting you to suspicious activity. This technology could have flagged my transaction as high risk before I lost money. Protect your seed phrase rigorously. This master key to your crypto wallet must remain secure. Write it on paper and store in a fireproof safe or secure box. Make multiple copies for different secure locations, but never share them online, not even with supposed customer support representatives. Before investing in any crypto opportunity, follow these verification steps. Independently verify all claims directly with authorities like the SEC. Research the company thoroughly, including team member backgrounds on LinkedIn and professional sites. Take your time. Legitimate investments welcome careful research because they have nothing to hide. The crypto world offers genuine opportunities amid sophisticated scams. What frustrates me most isn't getting scammed. It's how easily I could have prevented it. A 10-minute Google search would have revealed everything. A quick regulatory check would have shown CryptoNexus AI didn't exist. Yet excitement led me to skip these basic steps. Don't repeat my costly mistake. With these straightforward precautions, you can confidently explore cryptocurrency while safeguarding your assets. Trust your instincts. When something feels wrong, it usually is. Verify everything methodically. Take the time to research thoroughly. These simple habits form an effective shield against even the most convincing scams. The difference between losing your investment and protecting it often comes down to these basic verification steps. Your financial security deserves this minimal effort. By implementing this protection playbook, you'll navigate the crypto landscape with greater confidence and significantly reduce your risk of falling victim to scammers. If you've been scammed, if you're watching this and just realized you might be in the middle of a scam right now, I want you to take a deep breath. Maybe you've already sent money to someone who promised amazing crypto returns, or maybe you're just getting suspicious about that investment advisor who keeps calling you. Either way, here's exactly what you need to do right now to protect yourself. First, stop all communication with the suspected scammers immediately. I mean right now. Don't send another message explaining why you're leaving. Don't answer their calls to tell them off. Just ghost them completely. This might feel rude or uncomfortable, but it's absolutely necessary. These people are professional manipulators who know exactly what to say to keep you on the hook. Any further contact gives them another chance to pressure you or convince you to send more money. Don't worry about their feelings. They certainly aren't worried about yours. Even if they're threatening you or promising they can fix the situation if you just send a bit more money, don't respond. These are classic tactics to extract more funds from victims who are starting to catch on. They might claim you need to pay withdrawal fees or taxes before getting your money back. This is another lie to get more money from you. The next step is time-sensitive. Contact your bank or credit card company immediately to report the fraud. Call them the second you finish watching this video. Every minute counts. If you used a bank transfer, credit card, or debit card, there might be a small window where the transaction can be stopped or reversed. When you call, be clear. I've been the victim of a cryptocurrency investment scam, and I need to report fraudulent transactions. Give them the exact dates, amounts, and destinations of your transfers. Ask them to flag your account and discuss whether you should close current accounts and open new ones. Taking this step is scary but empowering. You're actively fighting back against the scammers. Next, report the scam to authorities. File reports with the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, IC3, the Federal Trade Commission, and the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. Your report helps track scammers and potentially protect others. This official record might prove important later. Document everything related to the scam. Screenshots of conversations, emails, websites, transaction receipts, everything. Save all communications with dates and times. Copy down wallet addresses where you sent crypto. Record phone call details. Even small details you think don't matter could help investigators in recovery efforts. This documentation is your evidence, concrete proof of what happened that strengthens your case with authorities. Now, protect your identity. Change all passwords immediately, especially email and financial accounts. Use strong, unique passwords for each account. Enable two-factor authentication on everything. Contact the 3 major credit bureaus to place fraud alerts on your credit reports. Consider freezing your credit entirely, which prevents anyone from opening new accounts in your name. Monitor your credit reports and bank statements closely for suspicious activity. Your quick action here forms a protective shield around your remaining financial assets and personal information. Going through something like this can feel isolating and embarrassing, but you're not alone. Consider reaching out to support organizations like the Crypto Defenders Alliance or the Global Anti-Scam Organization. These groups help victims of cryptocurrency fraud and can provide guidance on your specific situation. To summarize your emergency action plan: 1. Cut all contact with scammers. 2. Report to your bank immediately. 3. File reports with authorities. 4. Document everything. 5. Protect your identity. 6. Seek support. Act within the first 24 hours if possible. The faster you move, the better your chances of limiting the damage. I need to be honest, recovery of funds is unfortunately rare in crypto scams. Cryptocurrency transactions are designed to be irreversible. But quick action can sometimes lead to recovery, especially if the scammers haven't had time to move or launder the funds yet. Even if you can't get your money back, these steps prevent further losses and protect you from additional harm. Your report helps authorities build cases against these criminals, potentially stopping them from hurting others. Remember, falling for a scam doesn't mean you're stupid. These scammers are professionals who use sophisticated psychological manipulation. Many smart, careful people have fallen victim. The important thing now is to act quickly to protect yourself and begin the process of recovering, both financially and emotionally, from this experience. I got lucky. One moment of skepticism and basic research saved me from losing $10,000 to a sophisticated AI-powered crypto scam. Here's what I learned. The best protection isn't knowing all the technical crypto stuff. It's recognizing when your emotions are messing with your brain. When excitement, FOMO, or misplaced trust clouds your judgment, pause. Ask yourself, can I explain this investment to a friend? Am I being rushed? Do the returns seem weirdly consistent? These questions are your financial cliff edge guardrails. Taking a moment to verify could save everything you've worked for. Your future self will thank you.